combination of functions. Now, what is combination? Also known as composition of functions. Let f a to b and g b to c are two functions, then composition of f and g denoted by GOF, also known as GOF, denoted by GOF, is defined as G of f a to c. Given by G of f x is equal to, we can write like this, G f of x, okay, for all x element of A. Okay. So, what does this mean is that we are finding, consider this example, consider these are some, let us say this box, this is a box A, which is our x. This gives us input to another machine or another box, which is f of x. So, this is the input. The output of this one now becomes the input for g of x. Okay. Then the composition is, this is called, so from x we are getting the final output here. So, this is g of f or GOF. Understand? Let us see some example. Let us say, so we are combining them, it is very simple. Let us say f of x is equal to 3x minus 1 and g of x is equal to 2x square plus x plus 1. So, what do you think will be, let us see x, f of x and g of x. So, if I take the value of x, some value, let us say minus 1. So, f of x will give me how much? F of x will be 3x minus 1, that should give me minus 1, 3 minus 4. Okay. So, now minus 4, then if I take another value, let us say 0, then it become minus 1. So, now let me take another 1, 1 will give me 3 minus 1, 2. If I take 2, 6, 6 minus 5. So, now f of x, so these are the values of f of x. So, what do you think will be g of x? So, g of x will be g of f of x, which is what? So, g of x is 2 x square plus x plus 1. You see how we have read. So, GOF is actually written, GOF of x is written as like this, g f of x. So, what are the values of f of x we get here? We get the values of f of x is minus 4. So, if I put here 2, so g of f would be 2 minus 4 plus 1. If I solve, I get this value to be minus 4 minus 8 minus 8 and minus 4, that gives me oh sorry, it's a square, 4 4 is 16, just 16, 32, I think this should give me 24, this is giving me 24. Similarly, if I take this as 0, if I take this as 0, then that gives me 1. Next, if I take as 1, I am going to get this as 2 plus 1, that is 2, 3, 4. I am getting here if I take this as, oh sorry, 2, I have to take this f of x as 2. So 2 to the 4, 4 to the 8, 8, 9, 10, 11. I am getting here 11. Similarly for this one, 5 as the now new input for g of x. So 5 will become now 5 at 25. 20 by 2 is 50. 50 plus 5, 55, 56. So I am getting here 56 and so on. I hope I have been able to explain you. So this is it, as simple as that. So one function, the output of one function becomes the input for the other. Let us see some few more examples. Let's say, so you can see that if just like we can find g of f, we can also find, so we have found out g of f, right. So earlier we have found g of f is g of f of x. We can also find FOG. So what will be FOG or FOG? FOG will be FO f of g of x. So what was our f of x? F of x was 3x minus 1, 3x minus 1, and g of x is what? G of x was 2x square plus x plus 1. So now what we need to find? We need to find FOG or FOG. To find FOG, what will you do? So f of x. So now we need to find, first we need to find g of x now. So earlier this is x, so this will become our g of x and this will become our f of x. So we started with the earlier values as how much? Minus 1, 0, 1 and 2. Minus 1, 0, 1 and 2. So now if I take minus 1, this gives me minus 1 square, will give 1 minus 1 square 1, 2, 2. So this gives me 2. 0, it gives me 1. If I take here 1, so 2 plus 2, 4, and this would be 2 to the 4, 8, 8, 9, 10, 11. I hope I am right. So now, so this was our g of x. That means I have calculated like this: g of 1, that gives me g of 2 into 1 whole square plus 1 and so on. Okay, I have found out like that. So this was minus 1, sorry. So this is also minus 1 and so on. So now what will be f of x? To find f of x, we take f of g of x, right? So because this has become the new x for f of x, so that will give me then f of, and what is f of x? It is only 3x minus 1. So we can write this 3 into 2 minus 1, that give me 6 minus 1, 6 minus 1 is 5, so this is 5. Similarly for this one, 3 minus 1, that gives me 2. So this one will be 4 to the 12 minus 1, 12 minus 1 is 11, and this would be 11, 33, 33 minus 1, that gives me 32. So this is f of g. So we can easily find out g of e and f of g like that. So in short, we can say what we are actually doing is that if you look closely, so when we are doing g of f, finding g of fx, so we have done like this: g of f of x. So instead of doing it that, so instead of finding out f of x and then plug it into g of x, we can also do like this: g of, so what was g of x? Okay, let me write like this. So g of x was, so f of x is actually 3x minus 1 and g of x is 2x square plus x plus 1. So what we can write now? So what we can write? We can write, so we can pass this function 3x minus 1 directly to g of x. Instead of writing this, because we are taking the output of f of x and then putting it into g of x. Instead of doing that, we can also do, we can pass the whole function as the input for g of x. So something like that, we can do g of f of x, we can do that equal to how much? 2x square plus x plus 1. In that case, what is f of x? F of x would be 3x minus 1 equal to 2. Then we have to do, in this case, all the x values will now get replaced by 3x minus 1 plus 3x minus 1 plus 1. So, in this way also we can do. So, then this is our g of f of x, which is nothing but g of f only. So, GOF would be, in this case we can now simplify a little bit. Oh, by the way, it's a square, sorry. So, then this one would be 2 9x square plus 6 sorry, not plus, minus 6x and then plus 1 plus 3x minus 1 plus 1. Okay, so this one, these things get cancelled. We get here 9 to the 18x square minus 12x plus 2 plus 3x. So, in this case I am getting this as 18x square 12 and minus 3, that gives me 9 minus 9x plus 2. So, this is our g of f, g of f of x. Clear? This is how we can find out the GOF or fog. Similarly, you can do it for the fog also. Okay, in the case of fogs, what do you think will be fog? So, fog would be f of g of x. So, that should give me f of, what is g of x? G of x, let us pass the whole equation like that. 2x square plus x plus 1 will be equals to 3, 2x square plus x plus 1 and then minus 1. So, that gives me 6x square plus 3x and 3 minus 1, that gives me 2. So, this is f for g. So, in short, we are combining, we are passing one function as the input of the other. This system is called composition of function. Either we can pass out the values, output values of one function as the input of the other, or we can pass out the whole function as the input for the second function. This method is called composition of functions.